2 weeks, we have the chance of a lifetime to witness history be made in the WWE. We have the chance to witness Seth Rollins successfully defend not one, but 2 championships in not one, but 2 matches on the same night, as he is going to defend the WWE and the United States Championship that night. But the question that is looming around the entire WWE universe is this: is Seth Rollins ready for Sting? Now let me take you on a flashback tour. The night after SummerSlam, August 24th, Brooklyn, Barclays Center. It was supposed to be Seth Rollins' statue night. The Authority was going to grant Seth Rollins a statue of immortality, because of what Seth Rollins did the night before at SummerSlam. So as Seth Rollins is in the ring with the Authority, what was supposed to be the unveiling of a bronze statue turns out to be Sting. And Sting, once again, sends his message to the Authority by proclaiming that he wants one thing and one thing only. Sting wants the WWE title, the one belt that Sting has never held in his illustrious career. So that was Sting's message to Seth Rollins last month. Fast forward to Labor Day. Seth Rollins delivers his own message to the icon Sting.
Be careful what you wish for, because at Night of Champions, you have the opportunity of a lifetime to validate your entire career, to cement your legacy. But on the flip side of that stake, I have the opportunity to crush your legacy.
With that message by Seth Rollins, it sounds like he is ready for Sting at Night of Champions. But that's not all. As I mentioned earlier, Seth Rollins has to also defend the United States Championship that night. So let me take you again on a flashback memory tour. It was just last week that Seth Rollins was in the middle of the ring proclaiming his glory again. But the glory that he was proclaiming was the fact that Seth Rollins himself was better than Triple H. He says, Seth Rollins, that Triple H's time, while it's past, Seth Rollins has accredited himself with a lot more accomplishments. Hence, Steph comes out, warns Seth to watch his mouth and to never again talk about her husband. John Cena sees an opening. Comes out, tells Stephanie that he's going to invoke his rematch for Night of Champions. Stephanie willingly agrees. So now, Labor Day, this past Monday night, Seth Rollins once again has another message for John Cena when it comes to Night of Champions.
Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect, Mr. You Can't See Me. He politicked his way into invoking his rematch, and now I'm defending my United States Championship against John Cena at Night of Champions.
And with that message, you heard the anger. And he has to put both belts now on the line, when it should have been just one. He doesn't like the fact that John Cena politics his way into getting a rematch. So the history that I was talking about in the opening segment of the show has that chance to be written. Will Seth Rollins do the unthinkable and be the first man in the WWE to walk out with both his belts? But Triple H has a plan of his own. Triple H feels that Seth isn't ready. That Seth isn't mentally ready for Night of Champions. So Triple H has an idea. I'm going to put Seth Rollins in 2 matches. Just like what's going to happen in Night of Champions. Triple H put Seth against Ryback, in which Ryback destroyed Seth Rollins. And then Triple H put Seth Rollins in a tag team match with New Day as his partners against Cena and the Primetime Players. But I'm going to get into that match later on. So, with the title picture now set and the messages now delivered, let's get into some other action that has potential impacts at Night of Champions. Let's start with the Divas Revolution. Now, this is taking an interesting turn because a few weeks ago we had a Divas Beat the Clock challenge in which all 3 members of PCB, the winning team at SummerSlam, had their chance to face Nikki Bella and Night of Champions for the Divas title. And Becky started off with a good pace, followed by Charlotte. But the question that was going to be on everybody's mind was, can Paige reclaim the glory she wants? She wants Nikki Bella. Well, Sasha Banks had other plans. So we learned that it was Charlotte and Nikki Bella. So now let's take you to this past Monday. Paige wants to have revenge against Sasha Banks. So, Paige versus Sasha, and again, just like a few weeks ago, Sasha beat Paige once again. But the question that I have, and that's on everybody's mind, is what Charlotte accomplished getting into the head of Paige? Is Paige jealous of Charlotte's fast uprising in the WWE? Will Paige cost Charlotte a chance at the Divas title? Which, by the way, takes place, we learned, next week. Charlotte versus Nikki next week. Because Nikki Bella has a chance of a lifetime to become the longest reigning Divas Champion in the WWE by surpassing AJ's record of 295 days. But I'm going to tell you a little side note. I think you're in for a big surprise next week. Whether it's Paige costing Charlotte a chance at becoming Divas Champion, or you might see the return, yes, the return of AJ thwarting Nikki's plans of becoming the longest reigning Divas Champion in the WWE. So those are two big possibilities to watch out for next week from Memphis, Tennessee. Also, let's talk a little bit about the tag team division and where it lies heading into Night of Champions. Now, we found out that New Day is going to be defending the tag team titles next week against the Prime Time Players. But the Dudleys, gotta love the Dudleys, have a bombshell. They told the New Day that whoever wins next week between PTP and the New Day, the Dudleys face a Night of Champions. Will it be the Primetime Players or will it be the New Day? All indications is sounding that it's going to be New Day. So we're going to find that out next week. This whole other segment that I'm going to go into now with Summer, Ray, Ziggy, Lana, and Rusev. If you ever watched The Days of Our Lives, The Bold and the Beautiful, The Young and the Restless, General Hospital, Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, you'll know what I'm talking about. What we saw Monday night reminded me of all those hit drama shows on CBS, NBC, and on ABC as well. I felt like I was watching all three combined into one. So, we still don't know if Ziggler's going to face Rusev and the Champions. I believe it was made. I'm not sure. If it was made, please let us know on our page, on our YouTube page, on our Facebook page. Please let us know if that match has been made. I believe it has. I'm not too sure. So just remind me on that part. There is one other thing that I want to talk about when it comes to Monday Night Raw. If you remember what I talked about in the beginning of the show with Seth Rollins and his message to Sting and to John Cena. Well, it just it gets worse. Because Sting makes an appearance throughout the night. And remember what I was telling you about when Seth Rollins delivered that message? Well, Sting again has a little bit of a message of his own when it comes, to Seth Rollins. And what you're going to hear right now from Sting is in regards to what I've been talking about with his statue. And, here you go.
By the way, Seth, you are the man. That's right, I'm saying it. You're the man. You're the man without a statue.
So that's the message by Sting. So that's another thing that briefly occurred on Monday Night Raw. Let me get now into the main event of the night. It's PTP and John Cena, Seth Rollins, and The New Day. Now, you know Seth Rollins doesn't like going into tag team matches. Seth Rollins is an individual competitor. And basically, Seth Rollins was meat, as you want to put it, when he was teaming with The New Day. And let me just get you to the end of this match because it was a boring match. Seth Rollins did not lose the match. He laid bait to The New Day, and Kofi Kingston got the attitude adjustment from John Cena, and thus Cena and PTP beat Sting and Seth Rollins. But what happened after that match was something. Now, what you heard earlier was Sting saying to Seth that you're a man without a statue. And we're all wondering, after Raw Monday night on the WWE Network, it was the return of the Stone Cold podcast. And this week he had Edge and Christian on as special guests. And for those who remember Edge and Christian, they were one of the, if not the greatest tag team in the history of the WWE. While the Dudley Boys rank up there, Edge and Christian are beyond greatness when it comes to tag team. And they went into great details about how their careers started from the Brood to being the heel characters that they were, to the 5-second pose, to them eventually splitting up and going on their own solo careers. And they also talked about, their personal lives, both of fathers to wonderful daughter, to wonderful kids. How Edge received a call from Vince about his career. What they've been doing since they're out of WWE now. The overall emotions that took over when Christian won the World Heavyweight title, that Edge had, to Edge being on Sci-Fi on a show. So it was something to really listen to, and I suggest that, if you haven't done so already, please listen to this podcast. Austin had some fun with ENC. ENC had a lot of fun being on there. They rekindled a lot of memories. Went way back, showing old photos, videos, audio clips. It was something, and I really think it was really good. I watched it twice already, and like I said, watch that podcast with ENC. You'll be intrigued by what, they said. And if you want to learn a lot more about ENC, not just from the podcast Monday night, watch a lot of their old matches, especially the one where they had the fight against the Hardys. And they were one of their biggest rivals, the Hardys, but, they put on tremendous matches. Awe-inspiring matches, death-defying moves, ENC brought the tag team division on fire. And they mentioned that also on the podcast. So, in closing, like I said, just watch this podcast with ENC, and you're going to learn a lot. I learned a lot. You're going to learn a lot. This was one of the better podcasts that Stone Cold Steve Austin had, and ENC really made that podcast reek of awesomeness.